Hello again. I'm obliged to a viewer who drew my attention to the extraordinary incident in the English county of Hampshire, which is currently under investigation as a hate incident or perhaps even a hate crime. Against whom the supposed hatred is directed is far from clear. The background to this is that white privilege and the apparently bad behaviour of most white people many years ago have been combined with slavery, colonialism and the British Empire, all with a view to showing how white people have been villainous in the past and should today be thoroughly ashamed of their ancestors. This warped and unhelpful perspective is now being taught in schools, and some white children have come home upset about the fact that they are white because they've been led to believe that white people have been responsible for all the bad things which have ever happened in the world. This was especially so during the recent Black History Month. It is of course quite untrue that white people are the only ones who have traded in slaves, exhibited racial prejudice against those with different coloured skins, or engaged in colonialism. This has led to an indignant reaction on the part of some white people who have been known to mutter that there is actually nothing wrong with being white at all. None of this is to suggest that white people are superior to other ethnicities, merely that they are not inferior, and that being white is okay and not a cause for shame or self-abasement. I'm bound to say that some people are getting a little ticked off with this relentless attack on white people and attempts to blame them for everything which has ever gone wrong with the world. I do not say they are right to be irritated. I tend to laugh at this trend, but there it is. Some people are more sensitive than I am, and I imagine that it is a group of such folk who decided to put up posters in Basingstoke, a small town in Hampshire, which simply declared it's okay to be white. Well, it's difficult to disagree with such a bland and innocuous statement. It's not as though the posters affirmed that it was better to be white, which would certainly have been open to question, or that it was not okay to be black, which would of course have been an awful thing to say. But it's okay to be white? Well, of course it is. I'm white and it's okay. One remembers the extravagant claims sometimes made in connection with other ethnicities and sexualities, if it comes to that. Black is beautiful, proud to be gay, and so on. Again, if these posters had declared that white is beautiful, or that the writer was proud to be white, then one might see a slight problem. But it's okay to be white? It's hardly white supremacism, is it? Bearing all this in mind, I was more than a little astonished to read the reaction of the local police and the Highways Agency to the discovery that these stickers had appeared in the town. I give a link in the description to this video so that viewers can see for themselves what has been said. The headline from the Metro newspaper, given out free each morning to London commuters, reads, "Hate crime investigation after it's okay to be white posters plastered around town." Hate crime? Against whom? I honestly don't get it. What is hate crime? Well, the legal definition is simple enough. Any criminal offence which is perceived by the victim or any other person to be motivated by hostility or prejudice based on a person's race or perceived race, religion or perceived religion, sexual orientation or perceived sexual orientation, disability or perceived disability, and any crime motivated by hostility or prejudice against a person who is transgender or perceived to be transgender. Okay, what is the crime here? Is putting up posters a crime? Even if it were, what evidence is there that putting up these posters was motivated by hostility or prejudice based on a person's race? This is absolutely nuts. Apparently, some people thought and said that only a neo-Nazi would dream of expressing the view that it's okay to be white, and a report has been made to the police. Instead of telling the complainant to grow up and not be so silly, the police are investigating. I suppose there have not been any burglaries, car thefts, assaults, fraud or vandalism in Basingstoke lately, and the police were just sitting around in their station twiddling their thumbs and waiting for something to turn up. The posters have also been reported to Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council and the Highway Agency, who have promised to remove them as soon as possible. We must, I suppose, assume that there is no more pressing matter for the Highways Agency to concern itself within the town. No potholes or anything of that sort to fix, just some sheets of A4 paper bearing a bland and undeniably true statement of fact. Am I the only one who sometimes feels that he has slipped into a parallel universe where everything is utterly strange and the usual rules of common sense and normal behaviour have been turned upside down?